This is the Sport Fiction Podcast. We discuss the world of sports at 13 PSI without a trash can in sight. If our answers frighten you, then you should cease asking scary questions. Sport fiction is a made-up piece of literature where a sport has a specific impact on the plot or the main characters. Let's see what these two characters will make up today. One is a sports analytics expert, and the other one, a sports agent. Here are your hosts, Noah and Jorge.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Sport Fiction Podcast. My name is Jorge.
I'm Noah.
And today we have a special edition of the Sport Fiction Baseball Edition. It's been a few weeks, Noah. So glad to see you. Before we start, let me give you a note about our sponsor, Sunbliss Naturals. Sunbliss Naturals provides cosmetics and skincare line to help you keep your skin young. You can find them at sunblissnaturals.com. Noah, how have you been?
I'm doing all right, man. I mean, it's best time of the year. Baseball's back. Also the craziest time of the year for my work, but that's okay. It's things are going well. Went to my first game. Went to the Rays game, not opening day, but I went on Friday. The game two. That's more my style. I'll skip the sellout and go when half the people are there the next day. It's more my speed.
So you were in St. Pete for what people call a sellout. Some people call it a fake sellout because they only have so many seats available. So what's your opinion on that?
It makes sense. I mean, don't open the upper deck if no one's going to sit there. It looked awful. I remember when I worked there, they had the upper deck open and it would be maybe 1,000 people up there, and then people would just be scattered all over the place. They would eventually just walk down anyway. So, I mean, yeah, keep it in the lower bowl. I wish they could do something about it when you see it on TV, because it just looks so stupid that it's you see it from center field view, and it's the entire upper deck is just empty. But yeah, no, I mean, that's why they're pushing when they eventually hopefully get a new stadium. It probably will be one of the smallest parks in the league, if not the smallest park in the league, but hopefully they sell it out. It's kind of dumb, but I get it. I think they opened it up for the Yankees, and maybe the Red Sox too, at least on weekends.
You think so?
And they opened up. I think so.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I know they definitely will open it up for the playoffs, obviously, if they get there. But
they did that last year for the two sad games, but it didn't seem to make a dent. I mean, we still had low numbers.
I mean, it didn't help that they were early games, but still not an excuse. Most teams should be able to sell out a playoff game pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, at least you got to see a win. So yeah, I mean, this is a busy season for you. It's a busy season for me. We do a lot of tax planning for our clients, and this is the time of year where all that work we did throughout the year kind of comes to fruition. So we got to make sure all the pieces are where they belong. But man, we're excited. We were talking about baseball starting, and now we are in full effect. So let's just jump right to it. The perfect thing to do when baseball season starts is to predict how baseball season will end. So let's talk about our way too early baseball predictions for the year. So what should we discuss here?
I think so. I mean, I do this every year, and I kind of post this on Facebook and Twitter. I always like to make picks beginning of the year, go from division winners, go to the World Series winners, and I like to even do MVP, Cy Youngs, awards like that. So what I kind of want to do is I think we should just start at the top. Just go. I'm going to start in the National League, I think, and I'll just go with my division winners, division by division. And if we want to go back and forth on that, we can do it. Explaining why. Does it sound like a good plan?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm in. So we'll start with the NL West. The NL West is a tough division because there really is no other answer besides the Dodgers. as much as I would love to say the Diamondbacks and they had a great year, and I actually do think that they are going to be a playoff team again, and they're super exciting. Uh, there's really not many teams in the same caliber as the Dodgers. So unfortunately, not to go chalk. But yeah, I got the Dodgers winning the NL West. What about you?
Well, I mean, yeah, we have to do that just because of the talent that they have. But so let's talk about the defending National League champions, though. Do you see that they made any improvements that could help them keep up?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest improvement is just that they're such a young team. I think Corbin Carroll, I have a big prediction for Corbin Carroll coming up.
Okay.
Just,
So no matter what big prediction you have, you don't see that they'll surpass the Dodgers this year for the
I
division.
just don't. I just don't see that. I mean, I love Zach Gallen. I think he's a true ace. Merrill Kelly's really turned into one of the more consistent veteran pitchers in like a solid number two pitcher. It's pretty awesome. They've got a lot of younger guys. Obviously, they need Fott to take that next step, and he looked great in the postseason. And I think he will have a pretty good year. Um, and Yuli Gurriel is off to just like Lourdes Gurriel is off to just a fast start. Like he's smoking the ball. Um, Christian Walker is a really one of the most underrated players in baseball, but probably the best defensive first baseman in baseball. But he's also mashing too. And Gabriel Moreno, in my opinion, is outside of Adley Rushman. There's no other catcher in the league I'd rather want long term. So they've got a really good core, and I think we saw them early last year, and they made a run, and I mean they made it all the way to the World Series. They beat the Phillies. The Phillies kind of choked, but they handled their business. They did what no other team's done in the last couple of years, and that was beat Philly in the postseason. Like so, I mean they're not intimidated. They're not afraid. I don't think teams are going to take them lightly. Not that I think that they took them lightly last year, but I do think that, like I said, they were probably about a year ahead of schedule. So I think it caught some teams by surprise. But no, I mean that talent's for real, and I do have them as one of my one of the three wild card picks. Not
Why
to
why
jump
is
ahead.
Gurriel getting so much hype? I mean,
He's just tearing the cover off the ball right now.
he did have more at bats last year than any other year. He also had more strikeouts. So I don't know. Somehow that young team put it together and figured it out when it matters. So yeah, the Dodgers. I think the Padres got worse, and I think that nobody else can compete in that league. So I agree with you. All right, let's go to NL. What do you want to do? Central?
Yeah, we can go to the Central.
All right.
This, in my opinion, is the toughest division to pick, and I mean this like in all sincerity. I wouldn't even be surprised if the Pirates won this division. Now, I'm not picking them, and I think that is the boldest statement. But I do think the Pirates are no longer a laughing stock, and they've got Paul Skeens waiting in the wings. That kid, Jared Jones, is just unbelievable. His stuff is crazy. Like they're building a young, fun rotation. Mitch Keller had he's kind of had an up and down career, but like I feel like he really took that next step, and like I think there's even a chance we see him get even better this year, which is exciting. They got O'Neal Cruz healthy again. I think people forget how young and dynamic he is. I mean, there's some flaws to his game for sure, um, but I mean, just this guy throws the ball 100 miles an hour. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. He's like 6'8" and just can hit the ball as far as anyone in the league. It's pretty absurd, like watching this guy move. I remember I saw him play in Reading when he was in Double A, and I just remember I was looking. I was like, this doesn't even look right. It's just a guy that big, that like skinny, like lanky, but like the amount of power he generates is just absurd, top to bottom. Um, so they're a fun team, and then they've got a couple. Brian Reynolds, I think, is one of the better outfielders in all of baseball. Um, they've got a couple of guys stepping up, like Jared Triolo, who's like the ultimate utility guy, who kind of settling in as their everyday second baseman. And Ke'Bryan Hayes is their X factor this year, in my opinion. Everyone knows Ke'Bryan Hayes is probably arguably the best defensive player in all of baseball.
Wow.
And yeah, he's that good. He's won the platinum glove that our company gives out, a bunch of Fielding Bible awards, Gold Gloves. Like he's legit. But this year he's working on not hitting as many ground balls. His barrel rate is really as much higher. He's making a lot more consistent contact. And I think I saw a stat in spring training. He only struck out like 3 times total, which is pretty good. That'll play. So I think the Pirates are by no means a laughing stock anymore. I still don't pick them to win the division. But like I just want to put in perspective that really you could tell me anyone would win this. This is the division I have the least amount of confidence in. I went back and forth. I like what the Cubs did this offseason. They brought back Bellinger. I think Imanaga is severely underrated, and I think there was kind of a scouting miss there. I think he's a very, very good pickup. Yeah, they lost Stroman, but it's something about the Cubs that I kind of just, it's not that I don't believe it. I just think that they might be a year away because they got a couple of good young prospects. Owen Cassidy is like the main one that I think he's going to be a household name. He'll probably get called up this year, honestly. But I think that I don't know. There's something about the Cubs that I don't fully believe in, but again, not it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up winning the division.
Well,
the team
I'm going to surprise you.
Yeah.
Because my pick is different than yours. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Well, I was going to say the team I wanted to pick to win the division at the start of the year was the Reds, because I thought they started taking that next step. But they got hammered with injuries and this dumb suspension by one of their top guys, Noelvi Marte, who got popped for PEDs, which is just so incredibly frustrating and stupid. But they lost their starting shortstop, Matt McLain, who like is very underrated. Friedel, who again, most people don't even know who TJ Friedel is, but he is a very underrated good. Like one of my really good friends is a Reds fan, and he's just like, without Friedel and McLain, like they were literally probably our best 2 players last year, and now like it's going to be a real hole to replace them. That luckily they held on to Jonathan India. They have a really fun lineup and they have a fun rotation too. I mean, obviously we spoke about Hunter Green, and hopefully he's ready to take that next step. They haven't gotten Lodolo back, but he should be in the rotation for majority of the year. He might even make the next turn in the rotation. He might be back. And that kid Andrew Abbott, man, I watched him just shut the Phillies down. I mean, they only scored 2 runs in the first inning because he kind of didn't settle in, and then Alec Baum just hit a fluke flare single down the first base line, and then the Phillies, I don't think they got another hit against Andrew Abbott until like the 5th inning. Like he just dominated them. So I want to pick the Reds. I do actually kind of like their bullpen too. But I think those injuries are going to be too much to overcome. So I can't pick the Reds. So spoiler alert, it's a boring pick, and I don't even think they're all that good. But for whatever reason, the Cardinals always seem to overachieve, and they have this like voodoo magic that like there'll be some guy that gets called up that no one's ever heard of that's going to be good. They do it every year. I don't really love what they did in the offseason. I think they just went in a bunch of old, like bringing in Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson and kind of like over the hill starters just to kind of eat innings.
Yeah.
They need Jordan Walker to take that next step. But I think, with Goldschmidt still there, Arenado still there, they still kind of have that star power. And like I said, they tend to overachieve anyway. So yeah, the Cardinals are my pick, but I'll be the first to admit that's the pick I have the least amount of confidence in.
Cardinals. All right, well, I'll do you a favor. I'm going to pick Cincinnati. I understand the injuries. The few intangibles that I want to kind of talk about, the Rays had a ton of injuries last year, and that meant that everybody, next man up mentality, like truly next man up mentality, because everybody had to step up because that was it. There's nobody else. Everybody else is getting hurt. I think that's going to be the effect that those injuries have in Cincinnati. I think with De La Cruz bringing that extra spark and the city jumping behind it, they're going to grind out and win those 1 and 2 run games that they were losing last year and the year before. So between that and the fact that they don't have such huge star power like St. Louis does with Arenado and all that, you're gonna have a more play where the players take ownership of what the outcome is, as opposed to somebody sitting back and thinking, oh, that guy making, $30 million a year should be the one to win the game. It's not my job anyway. They're not going to be like that. When they saw the Diamondbacks go all the way to the World Series, I think that's going to light up a fire under some of these young players, with the understanding that, hey, I don't care how long I've been in the league. You have your Carrolls, you have your Evan Carters coming up to the league and making a contribution to get those teams to where they need to be. So a lot of these young players are going to do the same thing, and they all have the talent. Let's be honest. That just has to click, and they have to have that confidence that gives them that extra boost. So I think this year, in a league that anybody could lose it or anybody could win it because everybody else lost it, I'm going to pick the Cincinnati Reds for you.
No, I like it. That's a good call out. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz, they need him to take the next step. Unfortunately, they need him to play shortstop this year too, which I think long term he's probably more of a third baseman. Or I would make a case. I might move him to the outfield because you saw like how well that worked out for Fernando Tatis to maximize that skill set. They kind of have a very similar skill set of like very athletic, very good arms. Just kind of sometimes the fundamentals get away from them, I guess is what I was trying to say.
How long does he stay in Cincinnati?
Ellie?
Yeah.
Until they have to pay him. Guess it depends. Let his play dictate it.
Yeah, because somebody will pay him, huh? And then he's going to be gone.
Yeah, I mean, he's exciting. In terms of like flashiest tools, like there might not be anyone with louder tools in all of baseball. And what I mean by that is like this dude flies. He's got real power. Has one of the strongest arms in the league. Like when you hear the term 5-tool player, like he's got the capability of being a true 5-tool player. He's got to put it all together. And another guy I didn't even talk about who I actually love is Will Benson. This dude is like a Spartan out there. Like he looks like Giancarlo Stanton, what he used to do. Like, he's just a monster. And another guy that Cleveland for some reason just cut and gave up on early. But man, he's made a lot of adjustments. He's not chasing as many pitches. He cut down his chase rate dramatically, and his power was always real. And if now all of a sudden he's not swinging at balls and getting himself out, and he's got a much better strike zone awareness, he's another one who can put up like. I wouldn't be surprised if you see like a potential 30 home run season if he gets the at bats, and he can put up a 30-30 because he flies. He like that's real. So like. The Reds are exciting. They have, and like I said, I was going to pick them. And we didn't even mention the Brewers, who every year they kind of seem to like people kind of forget about them. I mean, I know the reason why I don't think that I would pick them is just because Corbin Burns is gone, Woodruff is hurt. They don't have like that like dynamic, like crazy starting pitching depth that they've like really relied on. And I think Christian Yelich is a very good player, but as I think we know, he can be a little streaky. And Willy Adames, we know firsthand, is like he can carry you for a month, he can be useless for a month. So like, I think there's a lot of fluctuation there. But
yeah, I agree.
But that's another team that if everything comes together, they can easily, they could win that division. It wouldn't surprise me. So that one, well, that one's tough. I like it.
Anybody can lose it. Anybody can win it. All right, NL East.
NL East. This is the easiest one for me, in my opinion. I don't think it's close. No, I don't think it's close. I think the Braves win the division easily. I'll be the first one to say it. Like, if Chris Sale is back to being Chris Sale, nobody's beating the Braves this year. It's just not going to happen because Strider is the best pitcher in baseball, especially with Garrett Cole injured. Fried, I know he didn't pitch very well first game, but he is very, very good. And if Chris Sale being the number 3 is this ace, which whenever he's been healthy, he's been like pretty consistently one of the top pitchers in baseball. He hasn't been healthy in a while. And there's no guarantee that he will be. But man, that is just such a scary, daunting task to go up against that style of pitchers. And oh, by the way, they have Ronald Acuna Jr., reigning MVP, arguably the best player in baseball. Ozzie Albies is just unbelievable. And Jared Kelenic they ended up trading for, which is like, to me, kind of the X factor of the season. It was like, he's kind of underachieved. He was like this big name guy, big part as a centerpiece in that Mariners Mets trade that brought Edwin Diaz to the Mets. Never really put it all together for the Mariners. And now for the Braves, I mean, they're just taking him in the bottom of their order and just like go play good defense and don't try to do too much. Don't try to like just be the eighth player in the 9-man lineup. And he's off to an incredible start. And if they maximize him, I mean, it's just the rich get richer. It sucks. I'll be the first one to admit it sucks. I hate the Braves. I'm done with them. They ruined my childhood, and now they're back to being dominant. But yeah, I just like I love the Phillies, but I'll get to the Phillies in a minute. I just don't see anyone like the Braves are the best team in baseball. They're better than the Dodgers even, which is
Oh wow. I listen, I'm gonna pick the Braves because I don't know who else has the firepower to roll them over, but I don't know, man. They're a little streaky to me. I think that they all have the mentality of where they do too much or try to do too much. So they could go and score 9 runs in one game and then to the next game. I don't know if they're consistent. I think I'm gonna see a lot of strikeouts this year out of that team. And if other teams can figure them out, those strikeouts are gonna be crucial. And
yeah.
And if they start losing a lot of close games, which is how they lost, the last few games they lost this year, it could be a potential for them just kind of blending in with the rest of the division. And then who knows? I think we all know from the last couple of years that the Phillies have that extra, I don't know what it is that they come with at the end of the season. The second half of the season is different for the Phillies. It hits different up there. Whether it be, understanding when things start clicking, when injuries, people come back from injuries or the urgency to make that run, they seem to put it together. You saw in the division series last year how they took care of the Braves when they had to. So I don't know. It could be anybody, not really anybody. I mean, it could be Phillies or the Braves, but yeah, I'll go with the Braves as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hit on the Phillies a little bit. They're incredibly frustrating to me just because they do this every year. They get off to such a terrible start. It's a slow start like that, and like I don't know if like weather has something to do with it. I don't know if it's because they're got a lineup just full of like incredibly streaky hitters. I've got some complaints about the Phillies. I think their lineup construction is all screwed up. Like I'm over Kyle Schwarber hitting leadoff. I understand the concept; he gets on base a ton, but Kyle Schwarber over the last 4 years has hit more home runs in Major League Baseball than anybody. Since he's gone to the Phillies and primarily hit leadoff, he leads the league in plate appearances with the bases empty. He leads the Phillies in home runs, and he leads the league in solo home runs. Let's get this guy hitting with men on base. I understand he gets on base, he gets fastballs, but like you spent all this money on Trey Turner, who has kind of been dog shit for the Phillies. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like he really has been outside of one really good month, he's been a below average Major League Baseball player for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact. I'm not saying that's a terrible signing, and I'm not saying he could pull out an MVP caliber season at any moment. But he just kind of looks off at the plate, and like I don't know what's going on there. But like you paid him all this money, you should put him in the leadoff spot. Bryce is healthy at the start of the season. I think Bryson Stott is very like our most consistent hitter. I think the Phillies' biggest flaw, and we've seen it in the postseason now, is like when they get hot, they are incredibly tough to beat. And when they get hot and they have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Ranger Suarez going, they're almost impossible to beat.
But who's got the highest on base percentage? Stott? I mean, where does he hit in the lineup?
Hits about 6th consistently.
Yeah, so that kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, at some point you got to figure that out. And I agree. If you put some people in there, I mean, maybe put him 8th or 9th. I don't know. to get
well, what's frustrating too is they have a bunch of hitters that are very similar and like they're streaky. So like Nick Castellanos is a perfect example that he can literally carry the team for a week or literally just not get a hit for a week. Like he's Like him and Javi Baez are like, yeah, it's weird. It's like I mean, Javi just sucks now, but like it's like Nick is kind of on that path, which is a little concerning. Um, but yeah, I mean, Harper being healthy, hopefully he just doesn't do stupid shit at first base and hurt himself. Which is a whole different conversation. But Alec Baum's pretty consistent as a hitter, but like even Schwarber's really streaky. Bryce Harper's a Hall of Famer. There's no complaints about Bryce Harper. Um, it's just they're kind of flawed a little bit, and they're relying on either Johan Rojas or Kristen Pache to kind of take that next step in center field.
Right.
I got a bold prediction that I think they need to do that would save baseball. Kind of that we'll get to that. That's one of my strikes later. But there's some work that needs to be done. But their rotation's very good. It's so funny that they I forgot who it was. I think it was MLB Network or someone ranked the Phillies as like the #1 bullpen in the league. Which I mean they have a good bullpen, but like it's not the best in the league. And I just thought it was hilarious that the bullpen.
I think they're talking about how nice it is with the 2-story bullpen and all that.
Yeah,
Whatever.
maybe.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very neat and good feng shui back there.
Yeah, the Phillies will be good. They'll be all right. Like I'm not concerned they get off to a slow start. They're one of my wild card picks. Like to skip ahead. They're my pick to win the first wild card spot. And yeah, kind of go from there. So I guess that's a good transition. I don't even think the rest of the teams are worth spending much time talking about. Although I will say the Washington Nationals are a fun young team. And this time next year, people are going to take them pretty seriously because they got some young prospects coming up. Cruz should be up next year. Wood should be up next year. And CJ Abrams is got a real chance to be like a 20 home run, 80 stolen base type guy, like in the leadoff spot. He has legitimate superstar potential. He's so young. People forget about like it takes guys to develop. So the Nationals, although their pitching is trash and they're far from contending, they're actually fun. And but yeah, the Mets are just hilarious. And the Marlins, I think they're getting what got coming to them, which again we'll get to in a little bit.
So I'll tell you a little secret. Well, it's not a secret, but it's something a lot of people probably don't know. Number one, I don't want the Washington Nationals to do anything because they have the most expensive concessions in the entire league. So
Really?
On average, their concessions about 75% more than the league average. Now that presents some opportunities for some of the players in terms of endorsements, advertisement, and the revenue that they can, the pool of revenue that the team has for other activities like that. So it can help the pockets of some of the players. However, as a fan, I don't know if it sits well that, they don't have a great product to put out there, and their concessions are more than that you expect to pay in LA, New York, things like that. So that it makes no sense to me, and it's dumb, and I don't know why it bothers me, but it does.
No, I do like their ballpark though. It's much bigger than I realized. We went a couple of years ago, and I was like, "Wow, this is a massive stadium." It's a fun
You
ballpark.
probably
You
ate
know, get
before
back.
you went there, though.
Yeah, I don't remember much of the food to be honest. I think we did eat before we got there. We probably got something.
All right, well, let's move on to the American League. Let's start with the
You don't want to do
West.
the wild? You don't want to do the wild card picks?
Oh, sure. Let's do wild card. So
we
wait,
yes,
what's the rules this year? We have 2 wild cards again, or 3 or 7?
Three.
What is the deal? Everybody plays, everybody gets a trophy?
Three.
Three.
You get
Holy crap. Okay.
I'll give you my 3. I got
right.
the Phillies in the first spot. I got the Diamondbacks in the second spot. I think we kind of indicated that. The last spot is tough. It's open. I went back and forth on a lot of things, but I'm going to go with the Giants. I really like what the Giants did this offseason. They didn't do anything crazy. They did spend a decent amount of money, but they kind of let the market come to them. And what I mean by that is like they didn't overspend on Matt Chapman. They actually got him at a very fair deal, in my opinion. And there's like kind of what they needed. And now he's off to another good start. It's what he does every April. But that'll help solidify their defense too. I like the center fielder they got from Korea. I forget. I don't want to say it wrong. So, but he's a really good table setter type guy, off to a pretty good start, makes a lot of contact. Yeah, pretty solid player. They gave him a lot of money. I think people were surprised by how much money they actually gave him, but I think it makes sense. He's very good defensively, and now they can move Yastrzemski over to right field. And now because San Francisco, I mean, it's one of the biggest parks in all of baseball. You need really good outfield defense, and they're putting that together now. So like that, like they're kind of forming their team to their stadium, which is smart. Um, that's how you're going to maximize it. Logan Webb is arguably the most underrated pitcher in baseball. He's a legitimate ace, and I feel like a lot of people don't even really know too much about him, but his stuff is just unbelievable. He's such a good pitcher. And they've got a couple of younger guys too, that are kind of ready to take. I think that they're going to take that next step. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't. There wasn't any slam dunk teams. I kind of like what they kind of slowly started putting together. So I think overall, I think they sneak in on the last wild card. It's a tough division, obviously, and that means I have three teams from the West coming out. But I think that makes sense if you look at all the divisions. Unless someone from the Central, or if two teams from the Central step up, I just don't see the Mets making the move. The Nationals aren't there yet, and I don't see them. I think the Marlins are in for a rough season. So, yeah, I think the Giants are better than the Padres. Although I do kind of like some of the moves the Padres made, like the Cease trade was pretty good. But yeah, that's I'm going with the Giants as my third wild
Well,
card.
you'll be a little surprised because I don't even have the Diamondbacks as the wild card. I am seriously going with obviously the Phillies. I think they'll put it together. And then the Brewers and the Pirates, both.
Three.
I know they don't play a central heavy schedule. I understand that. But I just think that there's still a lot of teams out there to beat up, from the Marlins to the Mets to the Rockies. So I think that they're going to be able to win more of the games they're supposed to win. And somehow that division, even though they're all trying to not lose it, is going to have the games necessary to send three teams into the playoffs. So
I like it. I'm not upset about it. It's I hope you're right, to be honest. I would rather you be right than me be right in this scenario, because I think that's actually really good.
All right, let's go AL West.
All right, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first.
AL West, I'm sticking with the reigning champs. I'm sticking with the Rangers. I think that they are arguably better this year with Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter for a full year. Who I love Evan Carter. I know he's not off to the best start, but he'll be okay. Langford just he's so good. I don't understand how he fell to fourth in the draft. That's just no one will be able to explain that to me competently. And I mean Corey Seager, in my opinion, if you're picking a guy when Corey Seager is healthy, I think he's the best pure hitter in baseball. Like you just can't get that guy out. Like I remember when we were at the playoff game, I was like, why are we pitching to him? Like just don't even pretend. Just put him on. If Adolis Garcia goes deep, he goes deep. But like I'm just like never gonna let Corey Seager beat me. He's that good. He does have that injury concern, but yeah, I don't know. He's just such an elite player. So I'm sticking with the champs. You got to knock them off. I think Eovaldi is fully healthy. I know they lost like Jordan Montgomery, and they they got a couple of, I don't want to say question marks, but maybe their rotation's not as like deep as it was last year. But they have assets. I guarantee you, they make a move at the trade deadline. They'll fix their holes when they need to, and that lineup is just dangerous, man. I mean, they can just. Simeon is just such a good player. Again, one of the more underrated players in my opinion. I love Jonah Heim, their catcher. I think he does everything well. Like maybe not elite at anything, but he's good at everything, if that makes sense. They're just a fun team. They're fast. They've got power. They make a lot of contact. They don't make mistakes in the field. I know Jung is hurt. That sucks. That'll hurt them because I really think he was taking that next step. but he'll be back. He'll probably miss like 2 months or maybe total because he's got a fractured wrist. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think I think the Astros are gonna be really good. And it's gonna be and I think the Mariners are gonna be very good. The Mariners might have the best young pitching in all of baseball. And in fact, they have the best young pitching in all of baseball.
Yeah.
So you're gonna win a lot of games when you have that. But I think ultimately I'm picking the champs until someone knocks them off.
Well, I used to say that, and I kept picking the Astros, and I thought this year, hey, you know, the Rangers, it was a great year. They beat them out in 7 games, but I'm picking the Astros again. But then, you know, the bullpen for the Rangers is not as great. You know, the starting rotation is not as great, but the bullpen has made some strides to improve a lot. And I feel like if they make some moves. Okay, listen, Jankowski probably should get more playing time. I think he's a spark to the team, both defensively and at the plate. I think that, you know, your young guys, Evan Carter had a great rookie half a year, whatever you call it. He's getting settled in. So if his defense continues to improve, especially if they move him to right field and put Langford at left field, then I think this is the team to be. So I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Rangers. I think that the Astros really have a solid team and they're going to make a run. We'll predict that for another spot. But yeah, the Rangers should be able to handle this division this year. One thing I'll tell you though, Jonah Heim, I think is going to be more of a factor this year. Early on, I mean, the first game of the year, he had a mental mistake and he realized quickly, okay, I need to really focus. Like this isn't about just showing up to the ballpark and worrying about things that are not important anymore. And he understands that his role is really important this year. Well, is Adolis going to be DH most of the year now? I mean, is that what his role is going to be?
I think not like consistent. I think that they'll probably get more at bats in the DH than anyone else on that team. It just kind of makes sense the way they're constructed. But I mean, he does still. It's not like he's a liability in the outfield. I mean,
Right.
he does have an absolute cannon. But yeah, I mean, let the young guys play, and like I think ultimately, that just shows how good the Rangers are. That Adolis Garcia really isn't a liability in the field, but he is not one of their top defensive outfielders. That just shows that's just an embarrassment of riches more than anything.
Yeah. So I didn't realize how fast Langford is, man. That dude can fly.
Oh yeah, I don't get it.
He's a big guy. I mean, you might even consider putting him at center field. I don't know if he's played center field or not, but he probably can cover more ground than Taveras out there. Taveras needs to get less playing time. I think he's a liability at the plate if there's any liability in this lineup. And I don't know if he's well disciplined at the plate, especially in critical times with runners in scoring position. But so hopefully Jankowski gets more at bats and more playing time. But yeah, Langford, I mean, that dude is legit.
Unbelievable. I mean, like that, and that's what people didn't realize. Like like you said, he's got like scouting schools. We go the 20 to 80 scale for people that don't know. And like 80 is the best, 20 is the worst. And he's got legitimately 70 grade speed. Like he is like, and that like there's very few people in the like Billy Hamilton had 80 grade speed. Like trying to think of someone in the league right now has it. Like CJ Abrams has 80 grade speed. But like a lot of those guys, like it's crazy how fast he is, how powerful he is, and like he's gotten better every year too. And the reason why he actually played left field more often than center field when he was with the Gators is because the Gators had Judd Fabian, who was essentially the college version of Kevin Kiermaier in center field. So he's got reps in left field. I think that's kind of like his spot. But if I had to, and I think this is even a possibility, either him or Evan might move to center field. Adolis might move back out to the outfield, and then you might see them get a move to go get someone to either DH, or potentially when Nathan Lowe comes back, he might DH more. So it's kind of like the Rangers are in a really good spot, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, Taveras is eventually someone that you see an upgrade there, which is even more scary if you think about it.
Yeah, no, when Lowe comes back, he needs to take over first because I don't think Walsh is the answer there.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
he's all right at the plate right now, but I don't think that's going to be sustainable for him. But I think Lowe presents a better glove at first base, better presence in defense. So, all right, let's go to AL Central.
Central. Yep, Central is another tough one. The Centrals are the toughest ones, in my opinion. But
It's like the middle child. Nobody cares about them. It's just like whatever.
yeah, well, and to be completely honest, it's the two worst divisions.
Yep.
But it is. Although besides the Phillies and Braves, the National East might be absolutely terrible. So like maybe that's not a true statement. But yeah, I went back and forth. It came down between Cleveland and Minnesota to me, and I made I'd feel a lot better about this pick if Royce Lewis can stay healthy, but I ended up going with Minnesota. I thought Royce, what he did last year was just unbelievable. And when this guy is healthy, he's as good a hitter as almost anyone in baseball. Of course, first game of the season, gets hurt running the bag, probably going to miss 6 to 8 weeks, another hamstring strain or whatever it is. The guy just can't seem to stay healthy. But I mean, the Twins, they just, between their rotation with Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan, and I know Bailey Ober got crushed in his first start, but man, I saw this guy pitch in spring training against the Phillies, and this guy is every bit of 6'9", if not maybe 6'10". He is an absolute monster. Throws the ball straight downhill, and his fastball is so explosive. And I think it's like a splitter, maybe it's a split change. I don't know exactly what he calls it, but that pitch was working the day, and his slider is nasty. If he can take that next step, I mean, the Twins have a legitimate 3-headed monster. And their bullpen is very good. Griffin Jax is kind of taking that next step. And Duran, who, I mean, he was arguably one of the best relievers in baseball last year. He's not even there right now. He will be. So, yeah, it was tough. I went back and forth. The Twins really need Buxton to stay healthy, at least try some way to get 100 games out of him this year. Like, they need to figure that out. And they need to figure out a way to keep Royce Lewis on the field. But they've got a young guys taking that step. Edward Julian's a fun player. Kirilloff's a fun player. They got some depth. I think Ryan Jeffers, again, another very good catcher that doesn't get talked about enough. So they're a good team. I like their lineup a lot more than Cleveland's, and I actually think their pitching is better than Cleveland's for the first time in a while. I think, although Cleveland always seems to maximize their guys, and so I'm sure someone will come out of nowhere and be awesome this year. But yeah, it was tough. I went back and forth. The Royals are okay. They're not there yet. The Tigers should be taking that next step, but again, I don't see them having a good enough talent to really make noise yet. Soon though, like they're getting there and they're fun and they're not a liability. And the White Sox they're just not a good team. Like I do think Garrett Crochet, like low key, if you want to throw a long shot bet on someone to win a Cy Young with a really good payoff, Garrett Crochet would be the one I would feel okay wasting $10 on, because like he's his stuff is, I mean, this guy is like Chris Sale 2.0. Like it is nasty and he looks unbelievable his first couple of starts. But outside of that, and Luis Robert, I don't really have anything good to even pretend to be excited about for the White Sox. So or Robert, I don't know if it's Robert or Robert. I honestly don't know. But yeah, so yeah, I'm going with the Twins. I think they're the best team. I think they have the best lineup and the best rotation, so it's hard to beat teams like that.
And not so fast. So I don't think the Twins lineup can produce consistently at all. I think they're going to have a lot of strikeouts. I think they're going to have a lot of just inconsistent hitting. You might have 3 guys be on at any given game, and the rest of them just be trash. I mean, early in the season, I know this is no indication of it, but they're hitting 209. I'm going with Cleveland. Cleveland, I think, is more consistent throughout the lineup. I think that it's going to be, they're hitting 270, I think, but that 50, 60 point difference in a 162 game season is going to mean at least 10 games. So I don't even think Minnesota is going to be in the wild card conversation if they continue doing what they're doing. So unless they flip the switch and do something different, Correa is not going to be the one that's going to be hitting bombs with people on base every at bat. So that's not going to happen. It's just not going to be there. So I'm going to pick Cleveland. Somebody suggested Detroit, and I just wanted to laugh at their face. Detroit just played a bunch of AAA teams, so and their schedule. I mean, this is going to continue for maybe 3-4 more days because their schedule for Detroit. They started with the White Sox. They play the Mets, who are trash. They're playing the A's next. This series coming up. So they're going to come out this weekend feeling pretty good about themselves, right? Then they're going to go to Pittsburgh, get crushed. Then they're really going to go to Minnesota and have to play some ball to be, maybe come out with a split on that series. And then they hit the Rangers. They're going to hit Tampa Bay. They go to St. Louis, Yankees, Cleveland, Houston. Forget about it. They're going to be out of the division by the middle of May. So I don't know why people think that Detroit has a chance.
I just think they're exciting for the first time in a while, so people are.
Yeah, but a lot of teams are too, right? And it's just not their time. I think they're going to be inconsistent, and this little bit of confidence might help them stay relevant through maybe August, but that's about it. Nothing else past that.
I do think they're on the right trajectory though, and they could be a real playoff threat next year.
Yeah, and you know what? It can be addition by subtraction. I think that they need to make some moves to better their team that include getting rid of parts of their team, right? And I'm not talking about the guy I hate. I'm just saying in general, that's what they need to do. So yeah, they're on the right. I mean, what's the kid's name? Keller, Max, the rookie. He can be exciting, and maybe that provides a spark here in the next year or two. But their draft pick.
I like Spencer Torkelson too. I think if he can take that next step and be like that franchise player that he was drafted to be, which I think he's got the capability to do it. He's got to put it all together. That'll be nice. And I think Riley Green too is a very exciting young outfielder that struggled a little bit because he honestly probably was up in the big too early. Like he was ready defensively from day one. But as a hitter, I don't think he was quite there yet. And I think they kind of did him a disservice getting him up there so quickly. But he's starting to figure it out. And, sometimes people forget, sometimes young players struggle. Mike Trout sucked his first chance in the big leagues. And then sent down.
I think Mark Canha, with his attitude, is going to help some of these young players here in the next year or two. So I agree. They're in the right direction. I just think this is not the year for them. All right. AL East.
Yeah, this is unfortunately, this is the best division in baseball. And I say unfortunately because, look, I always have a soft spot in my heart for the Rays. I just don't see it this year for them. I mean, maybe they tend to overachieve always. They're one of those teams. I just don't see how you can overcome. The reason why they were able to overcome all the injuries to the pitchers last year is because they got off to a historically the best start ever. That's obviously not happening this year. And their pitching depth, I think we talked about it, is if one of these guys gets hurt, I have no idea who's pitching, taking a spot in the rotation. Is it Erasmo Ramirez? That's not good. I don't know. I think it might be a long year for the Rays, and you might see some pretty big moves in the middle of the season if they fall out of it. But I really wouldn't be surprised if even the Red Sox, I wouldn't be that completely shocked if they won that division. Now, I'm not picking that to happen. And I do think the Red Sox or the Rays are going to be in the bottom two. But the Red Sox, I mean, their pitching's kind of interesting. I think Garrett Whitlock is the X factor here. He can be very good. He looked really good early. But they got some. Devers is a stud. Tristan Casas needs to take that next step, and I think he will. They got Yoshida. They're fun. Kadeen Rafaela, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He is a fun young center fielder. he's going to make some noise in the Rookie of the Year candidacy, that's for sure. But he's incredibly incredible defensively too. He's only like 21 years old, I think. So like the future's bright for the Red Sox. You're seeing the fruits of Chaim Bloom starting to hit here. Unfortunately, he's not there to see it, which is a whole completely different conversation. That's maybe we'll have one day. But yeah, I think the Red Sox will be better than people think. But I'm not. I don't think they're going to win this division. I think the Orioles are going to win the division. I think that they are the best lineup, top to bottom in baseball, especially when all of their players are there. I can make a case right now that arguably their second or third best player is not even on that team right now. And I'm referring to Jackson Holliday, which I know we're going to talk about their AAA team in the future. So I don't want to touch too much on that, but like legitimately their AAA team is probably better than like the A's, the Rockies, like legitimately, like I think they would beat them. I think there's another team that I'm blanking out.
That's hilarious.
I said they could beat, but like, yeah, like their depth is no, but that's not hyperbole. I mean, like I really do think that. I mean, maybe not pitching wise. I don't know if they have the depth to do it, but the lineup definitively is. They have too many guys for too many spots. They already made a big trade for Corbin Burns, who is a legitimate ace, which is the one thing that they really didn't have, and they didn't make a dent in their farm system in terms of like what they lost. They're fun, they're exciting. Adley Rutschman's the best catcher in baseball. Probably going to be one of the faces of Major League Baseball for a long time. Gunnar Henderson, going to get MVP votes. He's that good. Like he's pretty unbelievable. And Jackson Holliday, if he were up from day one, he would have been my pick for Rookie of the Year. Still might be my pick for Rookie of the Year because I think he will be there every day, shortstop or second baseman very soon. Their lineup's just so deep. It's crazy. Santander is having a monster. Like he was a monster last year. Ryan Mountcastle's just such a good hitter, such a really good player. Cedric Mullins is a great player. I mean, like Austin Hayes is fun. I mean, you look around, they have studs everywhere. They have too many guys. And then eventually I think they're going to have to make a trade and get another pitcher. And I think they will. But you know, the one concern I guess you have with the Orioles is Felix Bautista is out for the year. Who was arguably the best closer in baseball the last couple of years. But they still got Cano. I mean, they signed Kimbrel, which, I mean, I'll tell you firsthand, I guarantee you he's not going to be pitching in big time leverage situations come October. But yeah, they'll figure that out. And like I said, if bullpen is your biggest question mark, that's the easiest thing to fix in all of baseball. So like and it's not even really a question mark. It's just like, maybe we can get a lot better there if we want to. So yeah, they gotta do some things pitching wise, but yeah, I don't think the Orioles are, in my opinion, the best team in the American League already, and they're, like I said, more are coming. So yeah, I'm taking the Orioles. But I will say the Yankees are going to be the combination of Soto and Aaron Judge is just ridiculous. I'll talk more about the Yankees soon, but if Garrett Cole were there, I might lean towards saying they'd have a better shot. But without Garrett Cole, and I just don't think Garrett Cole's going to pitch this. I just don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Call me conspiracy theorist. The Yankees were the only team to kind of successfully avoid Tommy John surgery with Tanaka, but this is a completely different skill set, and I think Tommy John surgery is inevitable. Hate to be a downer, but it just kind of is what it is. And I think the Blue Jays they got a team full of exciting players, but I don't think they're a very good team top to bottom. I think their pitching is, besides Barrios, who's not even really that amazing, and Gossman's a stud. He's a legitimate ace. But outside of that, I don't really trust anyone in their rotation. Bassett's okay. He's pretty good. I guess that's not fair to say. I trust Bassett. So I trust those three. But outside of that, I don't really trust anyone, and I think their bullpen is far from. They might have the worst bullpen in that division, so I can't pick Blue Jays, and they could even finish last in the division. It wouldn't surprise me. Any order really wouldn't surprise me. The only thing that would surprise me if the Orioles don't finish first or second.
A lot of people were picking the Blue Jays to finish, atop that division somewhere. I agree with you. I don't see it with the Blue Jays. I was surprised. I thought you were gonna pick the Yankees just because of the acquisition. I mean, everybody's saying Soto could have a chance to be, the MVP of the league, and I get it. I mean, but I hate Soto anyway, so I would never pick for him. I'm also going with the Orioles. And you hit on that. You hit on how they have great players up who understand what it takes to win, but they also have a supporting cast that's killing AAA right now, right? Like you said, they could probably beat a few of the major league teams right now on their own. We'll see what moves they make, but nothing but good can happen from that, in my opinion. So I do think the Orioles have a chance to win that division as well. So that's my pick.
Yep. No, that's I don't have a counter argument to that. You want to move on to the wild cards?
Let's go.
All right. So my first wild card spot, it was tough, but I'm going with the Astros. I think the Astros, they're definitely a playoff team. They still have that majority of their core that is still there. Alvarez, Altuve, Trash Can, just kidding. Framber Valdez is an absolute stud. They will get Verlander back at some point. They're not as dominant as like they might have been in the past. Although I think now they have Josh Hader, which was just such a ridiculous signing when I heard that they got him. That was like the last team that really needed Josh Hader, and they ended up getting him anyway. So their bullpen was already the strength of the team got even better, which is like scary. If the Astros are beating you and you're in the sixth inning, you're screwed. Like, they really are that good. So it's the Astros. People can hate them all they want. They know how to win, and they know how to win in the postseason too. So like, if you want to get them, you better get them in the wild card round early because if they start getting hot, we've seen what they can do.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the Astros are my number one pick there. My number two wild card will be the Yankees. I do think that they need to go make a move for another starting pitcher, and I think they will. I don't know. I don't have anyone specifically in mind, but I think that they will address the starting pitching, especially once they officially probably realize that Gerrit Cole isn't going to come back. And even if Gerrit Cole comes back, I still think they need to go get another starting pitcher. Maybe it doesn't have to be at an elite caliber level if Gerrit Cole does come back and he can prove that he's healthy. But I think that they need to go make a big move for a pitcher, and I think they will. They know that, especially because they know that Juan Soto is only there for 1 year guaranteed. They're going to do everything they can to go all in and win, because if they can win this year, and if Juan Soto puts up monster numbers and they don't want to necessarily justify paying that, they can kind of get more away with that if they actually win the World Series this year, in my opinion. If they don't win the World Series this year, Juan Soto has a monster year and they let him go, I don't think that's going to go over very well in New York. And Juan Soto is going to probably sign the largest contract in Major League Baseball history. Maybe not.
He doesn't go to the Mets.
He might. I mean, Cohen will throw it in there, but yeah, I mean, I say that because like I think he's going to be 26. Like you can give this guy a 15-year deal if you want to. Like, I mean, I wouldn't, but he'll probably end up on the fucking Dodgers and they'll like defer him for the next 80 years. But yeah, no, I got the Yankees as my 3 spot, although they are flawed, and then my 2 spot. Then the last wild card, this one was tough, but I'm going with the Mariners. I hinted at it, and I'm gonna stick with it. I mean, they have the best pitching in baseball, top to bottom, like starting rotation. Luis Castillo is an ace. George Kirby is an ace. There's some people like who were saying George Kirby, Cy Young dark horse. Logan Gilbert, stud, potential ace, solid number. I mean, stuff is an ace. The command's not fully there yet, but if he gets it there, another ace. Bryce Miller, fun pitcher. Young, still kind of grooming into his role, but like again, just a flamethrower. A guy just the stuff just jumps out the table. then Emerson Hancock right now is their 5, who is like one of the top college pitching prospects to come out in a while. He's had a bunch of injuries, which has slowed his progression, but people forget how highly regarded he was when he came out of Georgia. And I didn't even mention Brian Wu, who in the minor leagues last year. I'm going to try to explain this the best way that I can. There's ways that we're kind of trying to quantify like pure stuff. And that's like with spin rate, with movement, with like tunneling, and like just like, so I don't want to get too over analytical, but in terms of pure stuff, Brian Wu compared similarly to Jacob DeGrom. And like now, no one's Jacob DeGrom, but like his pure stuff was very similar. It was very similar. And like another kind of similar comparison was like when Strider was coming up. Strider throws a lot harder, so that was a little bit different. But yeah, so he's another guy that like he enters this rotation. They can run a 6-man rotation if they want to, and that would regulate these guys. They probably won't because Luis Castillo is like the only one who like doesn't need to watch his innings and all this different things for development. He's a legitimate bona fide ace, the best right-handed changeup in baseball. And spoiler alert, my Cy Young Award winner pick too. I'll even throw that in there. Luis Castillo, Cy Young Award winner. So yeah, that's I kind of gave you my 3 wildcard spots and my AL Cy Young Award winner all right there.
Well, this is gonna be boring because I have the same exact wildcard teams. I think the Astros know how to get there, even if the Rangers beat them out to the division. The Yankees are gonna be there. I think they're gonna put up good numbers, good enough to separate themselves from everybody else in the entire league, especially the East. And then the Mariners, yeah, I think the pitching will carry them and they'll be consistent. I don't think they have a killer instinct like some of these other teams do down the stretch. I know last year they could have punched their ticket and beat the Astros at home and they just came out flat. So I hope that doesn't happen again. But I think they'll sustain and be there at the end of the season and make it into the playoffs and hopefully they can make a run. And the playoffs is a different animal because pitching can make all the difference. I know we saw last year this outburst by the Rangers with all the home runs and all this stuff. But let's be honest, pitching can dominate. And if you're on a roll, it doesn't matter how many bats you have on the other side. You put them to sleep and you move on. Pitching is what really wins championships traditionally.
And the Rangers pitching did dominate.
Yeah.
Evaldi was amazing. Montgomery was amazing. Like these guys just went out there and just shoved. And so it was like, yeah, we're scoring 10 runs a game and we're not giving up more than 2 runs. Good luck.
Yep. Yeah, and when you said about, the Astros, if you're losing to the Astros past the 6th inning, that reminds me of the Rangers back in 2011, when that's what they wrote all year. If you're winning in the 6th inning, Josh Hamilton, Beltre put you ahead, and they play small ball too with Ron Washington knew how to do that really well. They put you to bed with Ogando in the 7th, Mike Adams in the 8th, and Tally Feliz in the 9th. Forget it. Like you were not going to score runs. And if you did, it was a fluke. And hopefully it was one of those games where you could tie it. But no, that didn't happen much. So the Astros have that. The Rangers did that last year. We'll see who's going to do it this year. That shut down bullpen.
No, I think we covered it. Do you want to do some award winners?
Let's do it. So you went with the Cy Young.
Yep, I'm saying Luis Castillo.
American League, Luis Castillo. I think I agree with you. Who else is there? I don't think anybody's going to really be that dominant.
Corbin Burns was that I was thinking of because he's going to win a ton of games.
Yeah,
on the Orioles, and he's going to put up some really good numbers. So Corbin Burns is my second. It came in second for me. That was the other one I was struggling with. But yeah, no, I kind of agree. The American League doesn't have a ton of like no doubt slam dunk. Like it could be George Kirby on the Bears. I don't know.
What about MVP?
Okay, MVP. You said it. It's going to make you mad, but I'm going to say it. Juan Soto in a contract year in Yankee Stadium. Come on, man. This dude's going to hit 340 He's going to lead the league in on base percentage, and he's probably going to hit 40 plus home runs. Like, and that might even be conservative, which is absurd to say, but like he's for better or worse, he's the best 20-year-old hitter I've ever seen.
Wow.
I said it. Best hitter in his 20s I've ever seen.
Let's not say it again. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I don't know what happened. This dude he dominates the plate. Like, he understands the zone. He can identify pitches better than I've seen anybody else. And he's not swinging at bad pitches, because you got players that go out there and put up monster numbers by just swinging away. He's not doing that. And you saw last week, he's not trying to do too much. He's putting the ball in play. He won a couple games with going opposite field singles. The dude, I think, understands that bringing that presence at the plate and understanding more on how to not lose that chess game with the pitcher is going to give him the advantage. And he's prepared. He has already shown that he's ready for this year and ready to make that investment in himself to get that mega contract. 15 years though, 15 years a lot. I mean, what's next? You're going to bring up Jackson Holiday and give him 20 years next year? Like, I don't know what.
Maybe.
Listen,
no, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't give him 15 years, but like you can give him a 10-year deal and he'd be 36 at the end of it. So like that's my point, is like, you can give him a 15 deal in theory. But no, Juan Soto is the closest thing we've seen since Barry Bonds. I mean, the best strike zone awareness I've ever seen besides Barry Bonds, and honestly, it's kind of the same. like they just don't get it. Baseball is everyone knows hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. It is near impossible if you're swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone and getting yourself out. Juan Soto never does that. Literally never. And like he will take his walks, and like so like hitting Aaron Judge behind him, like fucking luck. Like pick your poison there. Like it's scary. And I just think that like he goes up there, he plays mind games with the pitcher, he does his little shuffle thing, and it's like, you know how confident you have to be to like do that and like consistently. And I'm expecting just insane things from him, and I think the Yankees I think the Bronx will burn. I think Yankee Stadium will burn. I think Yankees fans will burn down Yankee Stadium if he's as good as I think he's going to be, and they don't re-sign him. Like, I like it. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a Boris client. He's going to hit free agency. He even said he's not even like talking an extension, but like, that doesn't mean the Yankees can't outbid everyone.
As much as this pains me to say, the way you're describing him, it sounds to me like I'm trying to model him at the plate myself. And I'm what, 4 games into the season in our baseball league, and no strikeouts. I'm trying to be disciplined at the plate and at the strike zone. So maybe I should make a claim for potential MVP for the league too, because I have my on base percentage is very, very high. I think I'm in the 700s right now. So dang it, Soto, I hate you, but yeah, I think you're gonna do it this year.
Yeah. Want to go to National League MVP?
Let's do it.
So the easy thing to do is to go chalk. And when I say go chalk, Ronald Acuna Jr. or Mookie Betts, who arguably, honestly, Mookie Betts, I mean, he's got 5 home runs already. I mean, he's off to just an insane start. He probably is the best player in baseball right now. But I'm going bold. And I kind of hinted at this earlier. I'm going Corbin Carroll as my MVP pick. And that's what's going to put the Diamondbacks in the playoffs, because Corbin Carroll is going to carry them. This kid is so good. Like, I hated rooting against him when we played them, because I was just like, man, I like this guy's skill set so much. He might be my height. Like, he's not a big guy. But he hit a routine ground ball at the second and beat it out. Like, I mean, like, this kid is so fast. And then he's kind of got like that Brandon Lau in him, where like, not big guy, but he just generates this bat speed that's just like absurd. And he barrels balls consistently. And when he connects, I mean, this kid's hitting 440-foot shots easily. Like, he's so impressive. I think he's only going to continue to get better as a hitter. It may be a little bit early, and I'll be the first to admit, like, this is a little bold for sure. Like, Mookie and Ronald Acuna Jr. are better bets for sure. Pun intended there. But like, and Ohtani will win it next year when he's pitching, but he's not going to win it just as a hitter. I really think I think in order for the Diamondbacks to get to where they want it, where I think they're going to go, they need Corbin Carroll to be that MVP caliber player, and I don't think it's as unrealistic as people think. And I think he will win an MVP at some point. Maybe this is a little bit too early, but he's only like 22, maybe 23, if that. But that's my pick. I'm going Corbin Carroll, 5-tool player. I think he's going to have a monster stat line, and I think he's going to be the reason why the Diamondbacks get to the playoffs, and that will help him in the MVP race.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the reason why Corbin Carroll won't make it to the World Series is Corey Seager, why a lot of people won't make it to the World Series. Corey Seager seems to be one of the most consistent guys at the plate, discipline, and then you throw in his defense. I mean, he's like almost
that's American League.
Reminds me of myself. No. So my pick for MVP this year will be Corey Seager.
Jeremy?
What?
Corey Seager's in the American League.
Oh, we're picking. Never mind. My bad. We're picking National League.
The National League.
Okay.
And you agreed with me on Juan Soto, the American League. Well, I think you should take Corey Seager for your American League.
No. Oh, yeah. My bad. You're good. Okay.
I wanted to catch it.
Wait, I picked Soto. I sure did pick Soto. Never mind. I want to retract my. Why did I get confused? I want to retract my pick of Soto. Forget Soto. Get him out of here. Corey Seager is going to win out.
There we go. That makes more sense.
All right. So my bad. My prediction for the National League MVP. Crap. Why did I have Corey Seager under? My bad.
You used to be a Dodger.
Okay, I'm gonna go with this just because of the hype. I hate the pick, but I think sometimes it turns into a popularity contest. And unfortunately, this is gonna be one of those years where that might be the case. I'm gonna go with Acuna.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Could have gone Bryce Harper.
No, I don't think Bryce Harper will get there. I don't think he'll be as consistent this year as he needs to be to win that award. He might come clutch at the end, and that might sway some votes. But a lot of people are already giving it to between Acuna and Betts. I think that it's going to be one of those deals this year where the whole season is riding on the two of them, and then I don't think Ohtani's going to make a huge impact. Especially with that lineup. I mean, there's going to be times where Ohtani's not going to have a chance. So I think Acuna is really going to probably be the popular vote and take it in.
I like it. I got nothing. I even said it. I was like, that's smart money is on Acuna or Mookie. So
yeah. So to be clear, no Soto for me. My bad. Okay. Seager all the way.
You want to do Rookie of the Year?
Let's do Rookie of the Year. Holy crap. Now, do we think, do they have to be in the league a certain amount of time to qualify for Rookie of the Year? How many games is that?
I think it's like 60 games or something like that.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. I think it's 60. It might be a little bit more.
So is it safe to say that this year's Rookie of the Year might not even be in the majors right now?
Yeah. I mean, my Rookie of the Year is Wyatt Langford in the American League.
Yeah.
Because he's there. And I mean, I think technically Evan Carter would qualify as Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
so like you can pick two. But I just think Wyatt Langford is going to be an absolute monster. And I think he won't say it, but he agrees with me that it was absurd that he fell to fourth in the draft and probably should have been the first overall pick or at least the second overall pick. And I think he's going to have a monster season. If Jackson Holiday were up, I might pick him right now. And he might be up next week. He probably should be.
Right.
But yeah, I think I'm going to go with Wyatt Langford.
All right. Well, I don't think I really was ready for this.
Okay.
The American League, I thought if you asked me last year before the season ended, I would tell you Evan Carter's probably going to win it this year, but I don't know. I don't know right now. I think his defense can improve a little bit, and that will have an effect. What about any of these rookies from the Rays? I mean, considering that they might have a rotating door this year as they struggle to stay close to the lead on the American League East. Could Junior Caminero really make an impact now? I don't know. He's working through some issues down there. And
I mean, they're not saying this, but they need Caminero to get better defensively at third, so they can bring him up, put him at third, and either trade Lau or trade Yandy or trade Paredes. I think more likely move Paredes to second. Um, or I mean, they have Curtis. They've got too many players, and so I think it's going to be hard to pick anyone from the Rays because like I actually love Richie Palacios. Like I really do like that kid a lot. But I don't think he's going to play enough because the Rays do the platoon stuff. And then I think once Josh Lowe's back, um, Palacios might even get sent down. So it's like the Rays act. It's funny, man. Like the Rays have just a lot of hitter depth, which is like it's never their thing.
yeah.
That's why it feels weird to pick against them, but their pitching just isn't there. Now next year they're going to be a monster because all their pitching should be back. But um,
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna make a pick that you probably is just gonna sound weird because where we are right now. I'm gonna pick Heston. I don't know how to pronounce it. Kjerstad.
Here's Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not even the one people are talking about.
Oh, he's not.
But I think that in making the push, Holiday's not the only one that's going to be coming up, and Holiday's not going to be the only one. It's not going to be the only one. Well, it's going to be one of the ones that they're paying most attention to, while Kjerstad is going to be forgotten by pitchers, by staff, maybe not too much, but I think he's going to make the biggest impact and play enough games. I think they're going to understand that it will be important to give both of those guys a lot of playing time before the playoffs start to make that push so that they don't fall flat like they did in the playoffs last year. So that's my pick for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and I mean he's mashing. Right? I think he had like 10 RBIs the last game.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think I had 2 RBIs too, and that wasn't even that game. Everybody got RBIs. Jeez, 26 runs.
All right, last one, National League. See this one, I kind of hate this rule. If I were like a gambling person, I'd put my money on Imanaga, the pitcher for the Cubs, because I do think he is going to probably win the Rookie of the Year. But I hate that because he is a first year major league player, but like he's 29, 30 years old. Like he's not really a rookie. He's played professional baseball a long time. Or not a long time, but yeah, he's been a professional athlete for a while, I guess what I'm trying to say. So I'll pick him, but like that's who like I think will win it. But my pick, who like that kid Churio from the Brewers is like a really good pick here. Like in it, like I think he's got a really good shot to win it, especially because they're not sending him down. They already paid him. Like he's gonna get the reps if he stays healthy. But the kid I really like, and he might even be up a little too early, so it might hurt him. And he's in a tough ballpark, and the power is not fully developed. But I really like Jackson Merrill, the center fielder for the Padres.
Yeah.
Who's also, by the way, playing center field for like the first time in his career, really. So like he's a shortstop that's transitioning to the center field. But I really like that kid's swing. Like he doesn't swing and miss a lot, makes a lot of hard contact. Very fast, very athletic. It might be a little early, like I think, because I'm not sure if the hit tool is going. I'm not sure if he's going to hit well enough. He's sitting 9th in the order right now, but like he can easily put it all together. That's kind of like, but I really like him as a player, and even if he doesn't necessarily win, I think he's going to have a huge career, like a very big, successful career. So I'm gonna go Jackson Merrill as my pick for Rookie of the Year.
Okay. So on my pick, I mean, I don't know how often or if it's ever happened where they pick a pitcher for Rookie of the Year. I think Skeens might be
I like it.
that guy. But I'm not gonna go with him. I'm gonna pick Michael Bush from the Cubs. I
Okay.
don't think he's gonna have huge numbers, but his presence is gonna be across the board up there where as other rookies get graded, he's going to be the most level, most valuable rookie player for their team. I know the Cubs aren't gonna do jack, this year, but he's going to
Right.
he's going to put up some numbers that are nothing to sneeze at for a rookie. So
I like it. I don't disagree. He's got to get the playing time too. So that's
yeah, I think he will. Now if he was somewhere else in another system, another team, he might not, but but I think with the Cubs he will. So
you ready to pick the World Series? We didn't do that. You want to pick the World Series winner? I think that's the last one. Then we can move on to the strikes.
all right, let's go for it.
All right. You want me to do it first?
World Series way too early prediction. What is your prediction? And who wins it?
So I've got a caveat here. Here's my caveat. You can laugh at me all you want.
Oh, I will.
If the Phillies get Mike Trout, the Phillies win the World Series.
Holy shit. Is that what's going to happen? Mike Trout is going to move. I mean, is that going to happen if the Angels are sucking or if they're doing well or either way?
No, the only way it happens is when the Angels suck because they do suck. Make no mistake about it. That's the other team. That's who the AAA Orioles can beat the Angels. If Trout just says, it's time, trade me, it would have happened. I'm not trying to, it's not inside info. It's just a fact. The Phillies had compensation talks with the Angels in place if Mike Trout was willing to get traded. That those discussions have happened. And it sounded like it was pretty much in the hands of if it's kind of up to Mike Trout. And Mike Trout wasn't ready to leave the Angels yet. This was, Ohtani was still there, all this stuff's going on. It makes so much sense to do it. The one position of weakness the Phillies don't have, the Phillies have is center field, or they can move Marsh to center and Trout can slide over to the left. He's from there. He's an Eagles season ticket holder. The Phillies owner is willing to spend the money. The money will work. There would have to be we'd probably have to send Taijuan Walker and then probably have them eat some of the contract and then give them like Andrew Painter and Aiden Miller and like Crawford and like some of these guys to like facilitate it. And it would be a ridiculous package. But I do think the Phillies need to do that if they want to win the World Series to beat the Braves or the Dodgers. Like I really do. And if they do that, I think they're going to win the World Series. If they don't do that, I think the Braves are going to win the World Series. And I think no matter what happens, the Orioles are my World Series pick. So if the Phillies, and I'll get to that in more detail in the strikes and when I strikes, spoiler, one of my strikes. If the Phillies make the move and save Major League Baseball on Mike Trout, I think they win the World Series. If they don't, and I mean, maybe they could pivot to like a Randy Arozarena, and then I could have this conversation. And I'll say if they get a Randy Arozarena type player, that I'll pick them because they need something. They need a consistent hitter in the lineup, especially in the postseason, because we've seen it 2 years in a row. They just go to shit randomly, and then that's it. When you live and die by the home run, it's very hard to win in the postseason consistently against elite pitching. So that's my caveat. If they don't do that, I think the Braves are going to win the World Series, especially if Chris Sale stays healthy. But either way, I'm picking the Orioles to go in the American League. I think they're that good, and they could easily win the World Series.
Okay. All right. I hope, I think one thing that could be playing in your favor is Ohtani leaving, because maybe Trout sees that there shouldn't be that much loyalty in baseball. So I told you last week, Jim Traber said there should be no loyalty in pro sports, right? either from a player or a team. Either one it's a business. So maybe Trout can see it, and now that Otani left, and say, hey, maybe it is a good move for my career and whatever other reasons were keeping him there, you know. And I know he may love it there, and it's nice, you know. It's nice being in California. The weather, taxes suck. Other than that, everything else can be nice. But you're telling me basically that he's gonna be in Philly, whether he's a Philly or just a spectator, right? But
Pretty much.
hopefully he's on the field. Well, I mean, that's a bold prediction. If that happens, that'd be pretty cool, though. I agree. They would
And
be
remember, I
continuing.
am the one. I am the one that said Belichick last year would get fired, and everyone thought I was fucking nuts when I said that.
Fire himself. All right. Well, I don't know why you and I are so off. My picks are the Dodgers and the Rangers, and I have the Rangers winning it
Back
all back
champs.
to back. You know, they went back to back in 10 and 11 and was back to back losses. Now the first series with the Giants, that was not even a contest, but they should have won against the Cardinals. No thanks to Nelson Cruz, but whatever. We won't talk about that. But I think that Bruce Bochy, that dude's a winner. He understands what he needs to get out of these players, and the team has bought in. You got my MVP, Corey Seager, right? You have your rookie of the year. You have Adolis Garcia. He forgot he's not freaking Superman, so he's lights out there. I went to, what game was it? Against the Rays on Monday, and that dude hit a ball. I mean, he did the same thing opening night. He hit this ball so hard that I thought it was gonna hit the roof, like, and it just was up there forever. It was a home run for like 13 seconds, you know. He did the same thing Monday night. That dude is just like, he needs to quit bullying teams. So my prediction is the Rangers are going to
Really.
beat the Dodgers in the World Series. Boom.
I mean, I think that's highly likely. I mean, it's highly logical.
And you know
Yeah,
who's going to be at World Series games in Arlington? This guy
yeah, yeah.
again. That
Hopefully,
reminds me, I got my World Series ticket. I mean, my All-Star tickets. My ticket strip dropped, so I'm ready for that All-Star week. Let's go.
that's cool. Is it you? You and who's going with you? I guess I should say.
My wife, sorry, she beat you out for it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's hard to compete.
That'll be
It's all
fun.
right. By the way, I got your Randy Land shirt if you ever want it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I kind of wanted, but then last game I was there against the Rangers, we were sitting in our outfield seats, and I guess when we sit in our 109 section over there by the dugout, I don't talk much. I guess I don't yell a lot at the players. There's a lot of, I don't know, older people there, but left field and outfield is rowdy, so I was like feeling it. So I'm like talking trash to Randy all game. We were wearing our Rangers gear that game, so we were Ranger fans that day because we're
Yeah,
champions.
we'll get to a Randy Land game. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
But he didn't throw me a ball, so I was talking trash to him. He should know better.
He'd throw me a ball. It was pretty cool.
We'll get you that.
But get him to sign it in the middle of the game.
So, man, let's talk about this real quick before we're done here.
Yep.
Because how is it that the Orioles can have this farm system that is, and I mean, we get it. Like, they've been working on it for a while, and they were so bad for so long. They got great picks and are developing or getting these players now, but they have a lot of baseball currency in their farm system where a lot of teams will use it, right, to become better at the major league level. But the Orioles don't need to do that. They're already great at the major league level. What created this environment or this situation for them?
Well, I mean, being terrible for a very long time helps. But no, I mean, to be honest, I think you got to give a lot of credit to their scouting departments. They got it right. I mean, it helps when Jackson Holiday and Adley Rushman kind of fall into your lap. But even those other guys, like you said, like remember when they took Hurstad second, people were like, what the fuck is that? And like, I don't know, looking like a pretty good pick right now. I mean, I know he's not up in the big leagues and he got off to a slow start and he had some issues, but like, that's looking like a pretty good pick and they underslotted him too. I think their scouting department identified players and crushed it. Gunnar Henderson was another guy that some people just weren't convinced was gonna be like a good enough. I don't know if hitter is the right word, but like he was like very raw. But I really do think that they're really good at scouting and identifying players that fit, and I think their player development is great. And so it's like it's just a sign of like teams. That's what good teams do. They have good scouting, and their scouts work with the front office and the player development and understand finding traits of guys, because a lot of these guys are kind of similar. If you look at like shortstops, athletic, can kind of move off position, kind of like a hit first tool, good speed, develop the power, except for Kierstead, who just had monster power. And it's kind of like they kind of had a similar formula. They don't rush guys, which is probably the frustration of Orioles fans why Holiday's not up right now. But they let them develop, and they know what they're good at, and they focus on what they're not good at, and they turn those flaws or weaknesses in their game into strengths, and they're just really good at it. It's like why the Rays are really good at finding pitchers that like have interesting metrics or that are being utilized incorrectly, and they can figure out a way to maximize it. Like the Rays are really good at that. Cleveland's really good at pitching. Baltimore seems to be really good at developing hitters, and their pitchers. I mean, Grayson Rodriguez is an absolute monster. Dean Kramer, like some people didn't even think he was like a major league pitcher, and he's a solid number 3 now. Like, so they're just, it's really good. You got to give credit to the organization. They sucked for a while, but they didn't panic. They didn't overspend. And even when they, like you said, used some of their currency to go get Corbin Burnes, who is a legitimate ace, one of the Cy Young favorites this year, they didn't even make a dent into their farm system. They gave up DL Hall, who's probably going to be a decent major league pitcher, but like they need Corbin Burnes more than they need DL Hall. So it was a no brainer. And so, and they can make like 7 trades like that if they want to. Now they won't completely deplete the farm system. And I also think that they're not 100% sure exactly who are the young core that they want to like take, because they have like Westberg, they've got Norby, they've got like all these guys
Really?
move off. Move. They're a good team. It's fun. But yeah, that's my answer. They put it all together, and that's what good organizations do.
I got to watch Gunnar Henderson hit a cycle plus in Oakland last year, and I tried to rush to that park because I didn't know how much longer it was going to be around, and now we got news that this will be the last year.
Well, how'd you know that was my first strike? Should we hop right into it?
Let's do it.
All right, strike 1. Oakland A's officially moving to Sacramento after the season for like 2 years, maybe 3 years, they said, and while they're building the stadium in Vegas. What's your thoughts on that? And like, are they going to be the Sacramento A's? Apparently they're just going to be the A's?
Just the A's. I think it's going to help. I think it's going to be less of a distraction for both the city, the players, the team as a whole, the organization. That way they can just like, hey, let's just move on from this craziness that is the Oakland Coliseum, the fans, the boycott, all that stuff. And that's what Bob Stoops used to say. You make a decision and then you make it the right one. Well, they at least made the decision now. It's like, you know what? No more playing on the fence. Like, let's just get out of here. and the decision is made. We're not going to be in Oakland. So by moving, they're making the commitment that they're leaving, and there's no uneasiness or people not knowing what's going to happen, and it's going to help the players. It's going to help the financials of the organization. I get it. They're not going to be playing in the major league ballpark for a few years, but they got plenty of room for how many fans. They might get more fans at this ballpark. I hear that ballpark's really nice. So they might get a lot more fans at that ballpark than they did at the Coliseum anyway. That's going to help the team as a whole, and they're going to have a better product in the next 2-3 years. So just make the move now, and then leave that behind and then move on with what's coming for the future. So I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm interested to see how it actually plays out. But I mean, they got like what 2,000 fans at one of the games already this year. I mean, like the fans are over. It's a distraction at this point. The one thing I will say is I think I got to try and make my way out to Oakland so I can say I made it to the Coliseum. I've never been there, and I
You're
guess
running out of time, bro.
No, I can't go the last month of the season because I'm sure that's the only time it's going to be busy. Um, so I got to figure that out. But
What do I do? What do I do with my display? Because my display has 30 spots on it. And now do I just replace Oakland with Vegas when I go there?
I mean, you're going to have to expand on it anyway because 2 expansion teams are coming. So just, get another 3-piece or get another like 6-piece.
Just a little piece for expansion. Yeah.
There'll be new stadiums. I mean, I think Arizona is going to get a new stadium soon. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they're talking to a few teams might be talking about getting a new stadium in the relative near future.
I guess the stadium as a whole, what I'll do, I'll just claim that stadium, not visit it until I do, if it becomes a new stadium. Kind of like I did with Texas, because now that I think about it, I have Texas on there as visited, but I went to the old Texas too, and then it was not visited when it was new, although I went fairly quickly. So yeah, maybe they won't change their name. So Las Vegas A's, I don't know. I mean, that kind of plays into.
I think that's the move. Las Vegas A's. I think there's too much equity in the A's name because I mean, remember they were the Philadelphia Athletics when they first. So I think that that name's there to stay. Maybe the Aces is better, but there's already a minor league team, the Reno Aces.
So you're gonna make a trip to Oakland then?
I think so. I want to.
Well, let's do it. Just let me know.
Okay.
We'll sit on section, I think it's 117, right by the pick a good team. They're playing against a good team so that we can sit over there by the corridor to the dugout.
Let's look at the schedule and do it because I do want to go to Oakland Stadium and I want to see whatever, I got to see it for myself.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. It reminds me of in Puerto Rico, growing up in Puerto Rico, when you go to an abandoned building and it has this mystique. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, the whole I get it.
But they got good hot dogs.
There you go. I gotta try their hot dogs.
Oh, and cheap beer too. Their beer's cheap. Low price concessions. That's good for the fans too. So, all right. You want to talk a little bit about Mike Trout?
Sure. Well, you want me to skip over? Did you have a strike that you want to go? You want me to just go for it? I'm gonna go for it.
Let's go for it.
All right. I'll dig into the Mike Trout thing. Someone needs to save Mike Trout. It should be the Phillies, but at this point, I don't even care if it's not.
The Mets?
That might be the one team that doesn't make sense. And don't do that. But Mike Trout, I think people forget because he's been lost. He's had injury history. He's got some, Ohtani kind of overshadowed him a little bit the last few years. But Mike Trout is definitively one of the best baseball players ever. Ever. I'm not saying he's the best. I'm not even saying he's top 5. He might be, but one of the best baseball players ever. Okay. This guy has played in 3 postseason games. He has never really played in meaningful baseball ever. He's a West Coast guy. So a lot of people on the East Coast probably don't see him a lot. I mean, I remember when Mike Trout came in when I was working for the Rays, and I was like, this is awesome. It's the first time I've ever seen this guy live. And this is when they had Pujols too. They still sucked, but Um, it was awesome. And I was like, I was starstruck. I was like, holy shit, this guy. I think he got like 3 hits the first game. I was like, this guy is every bit as good as advertised. Like when you see him play, it's like, oh my god, like how do you? I have no idea how I would pitch to him. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. But he needs Major League Baseball needs their superstars. And make no mistake about it, he is arguably, I mean, he's not right now, but he can be the biggest superstar. He should have been the face of baseball. He's that good, and he kind of was, I guess, for a little bit. But he's a quiet guy. I don't think he's the type of guy that rocks the boat. And I have no idea if playing in Philadelphia would actually be good for some guys just aren't cut out for it. I think he would be fine personally, and I think, I mean, I could be. Can you imagine how crazy Citizens Bank Park would be when if Mike Trout showed up there? Like, it's already the craziest atmosphere in baseball. Like, can you imagine adding a guy who, like, I mean, we cheer him every time he goes to Eagles games. Like, we consider him an honorary Philadelphia already.
That's
Like,
funny.
this guy's sitting in the end zone ever since his rookie year. Like, he it just makes so much sense for the Phillies. But like, I don't care if it's the Yankees, although that would suck. I don't think the Angels would trade him to the American League. I really don't. I think it would be like kind of one of those things where we'll trade you, we'll get you out of the National League. We'll probably eat a little bit of the money so we can get like a real return. And for the Phil, it just makes sense. The Phillies need a center fielder. They need a consistent hitter in the lineup. The lineup just filled with streaky hitters. I mean, like they can put together like the greatest lineup ever, honestly, like in theory on paper. And it's like it fits the need, it fits the city, it fits the money that like the Phillies can afford to do it. Now, like I said, they'd probably have to throw in like Tywin Walker and then probably throw in a prospect like Andrew Painter, Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford to kind of eat that, have the Angels be okay with eating some of the salary, which for the record, the Angels should be more than happy to eat some of the salary because Mike Trout's gonna go in the Hall of Fame as an Angel. Even if he comes to the Phillies and wins 4 straight World Series, he's gonna go in the Hall of Fame as an Angel. Like he's been there for that long. Like he's like there's no doubt about that. And they're gonna make money off him forever. For the history of the Angels franchise, they're gonna make money off Mike Trout. So this shouldn't be a big deal to pick up half the tab because they're gonna make it back tenfold, if not more, over the course of forever. So it just makes so much sense. And people are saying like connect the dots. It's like I was connecting the dots with Belichick and the Patriots last year, where it's just like Brady's gone. Brady won a Super Bowl. The Patriots are on a terrible trajectory. They look terrible. There's no real signs of improvement. Their defense is now getting worse. Their offense is an absolute joke. And it's just like at this point, Bella, I mean, and I don't know if you've seen the documentary that came out, but it's like it's kind of obvious the Patriots should have probably fired Belichick a while ago. Yeah, you should watch that doc. Awesome doc.
Yeah.
Awesome documentary. It's a 10-part series. I legitimately might rewatch it. Like it's pretty incredible. And I know this is a baseball thing, so we'll get there, but I'm going to talk about it in the next podcast because it really is that good. But yeah, so it just you put all the pieces together and it's just so obvious. It's just an obvious fit. But at the end of the day, it would be so good for Major League Baseball for one of the best players ever to be playing in meaningful games. They can market. He can be in the star-studded lineup. There'd be media frenzy anywhere and like everywhere. It would be the East Coast version of Shohei Ohtani, and like just make it happen, man. Just like I don't even care if it's the Phillies at this point. Like Trout, I love you, dude. But like you need to do it now because I don't know how much longer you're going to be an elite. You're in your prime anymore.
Yeah.
An elite caliber baseball player. You need to be playing in the most important games, in the most important times. Like you need to have these moments because you're one of the best players ever. Like it's just a fact. He's one of the best players ever, and it's kind of a criminal that we just, take him for granted, and he's just stuck on the shittiest team in the league for his entire career. So I don't know. It's time, Mike. Move the needle because the Angels are trash. Like they are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and it's just time. There's no there is no realistic, optimistic line of sight that you can win a World Series with the Angels during the duration of your career,
Yeah.
so, especially while you're still in your prime. So
So you remember the World Baseball Classic, and the US had a good roster, right? But when the US played Japan, what was that game? It was Otani versus Trout, wasn't it?
yep.
So I agree. I think that Trout needs to be playing in the biggest stage, which is not the stage that closes in September. I don't
Shit,
know.
the
I
Braves.
mean, the Phillies would be a big splash, and I think that would make the most sense when I'm thinking about what other team he should go to, or and the fact that he basically is a Philly, guy. So why not? He
Yeah,
can be as much Philly as Harper is, and that would
yeah.
really mean a lot to the city, and it could really propel this team to that World Series again. I think so.
And I understand it's an absurd request. Oh, I want to get the best player ever on my team. Like, of course you do, but like it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that, like I'm trying to get into. It's not like a ridiculous thing. Like it, every checkbox, it makes sense. They can do it, and it's not as unrealistic as you think. Like I said, these conversations have happened before.
This is
So
where those teams need me, because if I get in that room, I will make this make financial sense to the both of them, to where they can't even say no, because they already know, you know, even the player, even Trout knows, hey, I'm not gonna win in LA. I'm not gonna win here in Anaheim. So I can win in Philly. Like there's no doubt that I can win there. And I can make all the numbers make sense. So bring me in. Let's sit down. I'm going to show you all how this can be a win-win financially, as well as all the other ways that this makes sense. That's my pitch.
I love it, and just make it happen. I don't even. I mean, I would be devastated if the Braves should do it too. The Braves are a team that makes sense, but like I would be devastated. Don't do that. Stay irrelevant in Anaheim if you're going to do that.
So, I mean, this is a bold prediction. I think that if this goes down, I don't know if anybody else really has been talking about it like you have. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it anywhere about
No,
why it makes sense, why the Phillies are going to win the World Series or the Orioles. So if this prediction comes through, man, we're gonna look back at this episode and we're gonna replay it for the world to hear.
oh yeah, I want my moment if this happens.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. Before I bring up the player for you to player trivia for you to guess who the player is. Do you have any final thoughts?
Not really. I did have one more thing written down. I guess I'll say it.
Do it.
I think the Marlins, the Miami Marlins, are getting what they deserve. I think that so for those of you that don't know, they made the postseason last year, got their ass beat by the Phillies, but they made the postseason, overachieved, and asked their general manager to take a demotion, which rightfully Kim Ang, I think Ang, NG, that's her last name. Rightfully kind of told them to go fuck themselves and left, as I would have too, to be completely honest. Are you kidding me? We were projected to be one of the worst teams in the league. I made a few moves. And oh, by the way, this is the same organization that basically ran Derek Jeter out of town because Jeter wanted them to spend some more money and like get some players and thought he had approval, and then apparently was lied to. And like I said for a while, ownership is the most important thing in any sport. You can have the best general manager, you can have the best manager, you can have, you can have all the things in place to succeed, but if the owner doesn't want to shell out the money or isn't willing to do something, none of that matters. It all gets shut down.
Yep.
And so I think the Marlins ownership is the worst ownership in baseball. I really do. I think it's been that way for a really long time. They fleeced the city of Miami for this is a different owner, but like fleeced the city of Miami to pay for a stadium that now no one shows up to again. And it's just they're off to like I don't know if they even have a win yet this year. I think they're 0-7. They might be 0-8. Like, and I think that they are off. They are going to have a terrible year. their team's not even really that bad. Like they have Luis Ariz, who I think that's going to get traded. Josh Bell's pretty good. They've got some guys, and they have Jesus Luzardo, who's arguably the most fun young pitcher in baseball. I mean, lefty dominant local guy. Like they have decent pitching, although they got some injuries right now. But man, dude, like what are you doing? Like, why would you ask like the first female GM in the history of baseball after overachieving in such a successful season to like take a demotion? Like, what are you doing? So like, yeah, like I hope the Marlins lose every game this year because that's what they deserve. Every win they get, I'm gonna be upset because they just screwed up so early. And it's not even the players' fault. Like I don't dislike the players. Like Jazz is fun. Like I said, Ariz is probably one of the few guys if I could handpick a guy to put on my team, he's up there. I love his skill set, but like I don't know, man. Like it just blows my mind. It's just total dysfunction top to bottom. And I'll say it again. There's a reason why certain teams are good every year, and there's a certain reason why teams just suck. And the Marlins suck because their ownership sucks. I don't even care if you hear it. Like you hear it from me. I'll never work for you anyway. So
Maybe the players are boycotting the ownership. That's why they go 0-7 at home to open up the season. That's terrible. All
I love it. Yeah, that's my final thought.
right, man. Well, I'm going to bring up a player, and it might be easy for you to guess.
No, probably.
Baseball player. I'm not even going to tell you what his position is, but I'm going to tell you a few things. So he won. Oh, wrong one. There we go. He was in the National League his whole, really his entire career for that matter. Let's see. I'm gonna tell you how many awards he won. So, oh my, he played 23 seasons. 23 seasons. All right, he's a pitcher. He had 4 Cy Young awards. But let me just tell you this one. This might give it up. 18 Gold Glove awards.
Oh, 23 seasons, 18 Gold Glove. Jim Edmonds?
Pitcher.
No. Pitcher.
He won 4
Oh,
consecutive Cy Young awards.
whoa. Okay. You said National League?
National League, 18 Gold Gloves. And this is not like way before your time either.
John Smoltz?
Well, you're getting close.
Greg Maddux?
Yep.
Okay.
I figure when I said 18 Gold Gloves, it reminded me of just like a highlight reel of him because that's really what you saw the most is his glove. I mean, that dude, and he always said, he said, if the ball is hit near me, it has to be an out. Like I did my job, If I didn't strike the guy out, the next best thing is for him to hit it to me. So he's like would go all out. He's like, if it's hit anywhere near me, this needs to be an out. And that dude was like, he didn't look like your traditional, shortstop, lanky, like super athletic guy, especially, last 10 years of his career. But the dude had that baseball instinct and that glove for real. And not just that, but I mean, he knew what to do to get the play. So he would somehow get to the ball and somehow get that ball to first. It was ridiculous. Between him, Smoltz, and Glavine, that made for some really bad times for me and my Mets growing up. Freaking hate the guy. But,
hated Jones, I hated Chipper Jones, Javi Lopez, all of them.
Yeah, let's not talk about all that. Okay. It was freaking ridiculous. Well, man, good show. Our baseball edition is out, but I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot more baseball to talk about for the next 6 months. So it's a great time of the year. We're going to have some not too soon predictions of football when football starts here after summer. But that's going to...
We got the draft coming up too. We got to do a draft version one of these days.
We should do that. Well, that does it for us. From me, your host, one of your hosts, Jorge.
I'm Noah.
We want to thank you for your time and listen to us. You can catch us on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, on our YouTube channel at The Sport Fiction, or our website, www.thesportfiction.com. Have a great day, guys.
Mike Trout, do it.